Right. Okay. So, yes, question from Colleen again, which was, do you have any advice for a therapist doing her first session? Okay. Assuming that's a female therapist. Okay. Especially if that person intellectually is aware of her perfectionist tendencies. I feel like I'm learning tennis again, but I'm thinking about too many parts of the game at once, so I miss the simplest forehand. Okay. And I know that feeling with tennis. So, and actually, you play the best tennis when you forget about tennis altogether, or when the pressure's off. Okay, so it reminds me of the story of the curious boy with a fly, and he's fascinated by flies and how flies fly, and he captures one, and he's not a psychopath. He's just curious, and he starts picking the legs off the fly, and the wings off the fly, and the head off the fly, and he's got all the parts of the fly, but it doesn't work. It doesn't fly. Okay, and of course, that's beautiful, an ancient metaphor for different ways of learning and utilizing knowledge. Okay, so perfectionism often involves the more conscious part of the mind, what we might call the left brain, in a sort of simplistic way. The left brain, sort of trying to regulate and control and put rigid requirements onto areas of life that aren't always as quantifiable as that part of the brain would like. Okay, and this is often a vestige from the way that we're educated. Okay, and so often the client doesn't respond to our perfect therapy, and you feel like they've got no right not responding to that therapy because it was fantastic. It was by the book. Everything was great. But what happens is it might get better after a session that we don't feel is very good. Okay, so maybe from a conscious point of view, it didn't tick all the boxes, but intuitively we did all kinds of things, and because we weren't sure why we did them, we felt unhappy with the session, but the session still worked for this person. Okay, this is a phenomenon that occurs quite a lot in therapy, I think. Okay, it's not often talked about. So, the most useful advice I was given when initially learning therapy was to forget everything. Okay, which of course means learn everything and remember everything and then forget everything. Because therapy is primarily a right-brained and intuitive activity that some people try to do as if it's, like a piece of bureaucratic form filling or something. But really, nothing is more human than sitting down with another person and seeking to help them feel better or be better in their life in some way, which of course includes not having to feel that they need to smoke. Okay. So, this very human thing is such a basis of human development, including hundreds of thousands of years before the first ever therapy certificate was issued to anybody. We were doing this. Psychotherapy was happening, but of course it wasn't called this. So, I think the best therapists have a kind of generosity of spirit. They're kind of generous enough not to be perfect. Okay, so especially when confronted with imperfect clients. Okay, I think it's a good idea to remember that we're not doing therapy to or on our clients, but with them. It's an exploration together that we're going on. How far can this person, go in this session? And how much might I be able to help them go as far as they can go in this session? Okay, and they'll tell you where they need to be, and also with your help, discover how they can get there. So rather than trying to remember everything that you learned on this course and squeezing it into one session in some kind of order, and when you're practicing by yourself, or maybe even just practicing with a friend, and there isn't too much at stake, then you can certainly try to sort of follow the script that we give you here, and try to remember what I'm doing in the video, and so forth, and that's fine. Okay, to begin with. But ultimately, you just need to take in some of the broad ideas, some of the broad ideas like that, smoking is a relationship, okay, that it's a tyrannical relationship, that the smoking has, all the benefits, if you like. It gets a body to use up, it gets a body to inhabit, and once that body's finished with, it can throw it away, its house is used up, okay. And, another big idea is that the smoker may be suffering from Stockholm syndrome. That is the captive may have on some level fallen in love with a captor, okay, or still be sympathetic to the smoking captor. So the captive may be enthralled to the smoking. So we need to tread carefully and respect that they may still be in love, or enthrall to this pattern. that they have a relationship with. So I don't know if you've ever had the experience. This has happened where someone breaks off with someone that you know was bad for them, and you say, "Oh God, yeah, I'm so pleased you finished that relationship. That was so bad for you. They were a nightmare and all this kind of thing." And then they get back together with them after all. So now I don't do that anymore. Now if someone breaks up with someone, I don't say, "Oh, thank God you finished that. They were a nightmare," because a couple of weeks later you might see them together. So so we have to sort of respect. It may be a nightmare, but it's their nightmare. If I'm seen as too anti-smoking, then I'm just something they can fight back against. Okay. So in the video with Linda, I suggest to her that she should carry on smoking. She should smoke, okay, but not if she just quite enjoys it, okay. If somebody is prepared to lose 10 years off the end of their life, and smoking is the most meaningful thing in their life, that it's not just something they enjoy, because the deal isn't good enough, is it? It gets 10 years of your life and you just enjoy it, okay. But they need to love it. It needs to be the greatest ecstasy a human being could conceivably experience. They should be singing from the rooftops, okay. Then the deal begins to be worth it, okay. And so I'm not telling her she shouldn't smoke. I'm saying she should smoke if this is the reality, which of course it isn't the reality, and she knows that, and I know that, okay. So these are some of the big patterns, okay. So relaxing with uncertainty. Going into a situation where relaxing with not knowing exactly how it's going to go is really a prompt for the unconscious mind, for the intuition to kick in, okay? Because the conscious mind is kind of, okay, you can sit over there for a while, the conscious mind, and I'm going to give a room for something else, some other part of me that does this kind of thing much better than you could ever do, okay? So we're relaxing with uncertainty and seeing where your intuition takes you, because your intuition is what's going to really help the client, okay? And kind of frees you up to not have to be perfectionistic. And so remember, you being a human and therefore imperfect, and therefore an imperfect therapist, is perfect for the imperfect client, okay? which does actually kind of make sense, okay? Much more than an intimidatingly perfect therapist, okay? I think that made perfect sense on one level.